Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. In this video lesson, I'm going to show you how to create a background in just under 5 minutes. Not including drying time. We have to make sure we get that right out there. So because of a lot of basically the daily videos that I'm putting out where I'm showing people how to do a background, then I have one already prepared, that type of thing. I want to kind of give you like a little tutorial on not to get so hung up on the background. It's just a background. And I'm going to be focusing more on small art. And I don't know if you guys remember, like the book of backgrounds that I was doing was the full 9x12, which took a really long time to do. So I'll have to get your feedback on this. Is what do you guys think of book of backgrounds for small pieces of art? I could do like a 2.5 by 3.5 book of backgrounds, 4x6, 5x7, just to get you guys making something every day. So that's your prompt for this video is, would you like to see a book of backgrounds in a smaller format? So, and what I'm going to be showing, other than the actual products that I'm using, you have this in your house. And I probably could challenge anybody who says, well, I don't have this. And I can say, well, you can use this. So what I'd like you to do is head on over to the Facebook group. The link is in the description below if you're watching this from YouTube. And if you get stuck on trying to do something and you don't have the right supply, ask in the Facebook group, and then we can all jump in to give you some ideas. Packaging, product packaging. What is this from? Flatbread Pizza. This is from Flatbread Pizza. And you would think typically, well, I would want to work on the raw cardboard side. What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to work on the shiny side, because that's not what you would normally do. But what do you do if this is all you have? Let's pretend this touched food. I don't know. Some reason why you couldn't use this side. We're going to use this side. Grab some paper, newspaper, telephone book. Again, other product packaging. It doesn't matter. Just something that's just random thing, and just tear it up into pieces. And this is all stuff from samples that I did before. And I have everything in a box. Like, I just keep scraps in a box. And it does get, this was pretty overflowing. But even stuff like this, when you trim, keep this stuff. Because not only does it create texture, because you're layering it, it creates an interesting background. And you say, well, that's going to be a really busy background. I'm going to show you what to do with your background. So at the end of this lesson, you're going to have a background. You're going to have a piece of art that could stand on its own, but then you can take it further by embellishing it a little bit more. So instead of working on my palette, I'm working on a big piece of cardboard, because as I work on this, I'm going to get paint and all that stuff on this. And after quite a few videos, I can then take this and cut it up, and then I have another set of backgrounds that I can use. I'm out of breath. Trying to make these fast. So we're 3 minutes into this video now. So I'm going to be using Deco Media Gesso. You can use whatever gesso you have. You can use the Deco Chalky Gesso, Media Gesso, the Tradition Gesso, whatever you have. But you do need something to create some tooth on your card. Now, if you do not have gesso whatsoever, do you have a sealer? Even if you have something, in the basement with all your paint cans, like a primer or something, use that. But just use something to seal this. Let's say you don't have any primer. Get some sandpaper and just sand a little bit of this off just to get rid of that glossy shine. If you don't have sandpaper, use steel wool. Use a kitchen sponge, whatever, just to create some tooth. So you see where I'm going with this? There's always a way around something. And I'm looking forward to actually getting challenged by a situation where I can't find an outlet for you how to get around something. Matte medium. I've got the matte medium over here, and you can also use decoupage medium. You can use school glue. I do recommend, though, that if you are making art to sell or give away, use proper art materials. Don't use DIY stuff, because the last thing you want to do is to give somebody a piece of art that's an heirloom piece, a very special keepsake, or something that somebody buys. If you're using DIY stuff, you do not want it to fall apart a year down the road, because there goes your credibility. Okay? So your packaging, your paper, gesso, matte medium, and paint. I just pulled out 2 random colors, primary cyan and cobalt teal hue. These are pre-mixed colors. I don't care. I want to show you how easy it is. So just choose colors that are in the same family. Choose a light blue, a dark red, a light red, a deep purple, a light purple. So pick colors that are the same family of either red, purple, blue, green, yellow, orange. You know where I'm going with that. And pick a light and a dark version of that. And I'm going to take, nope, not the gesso first. I'm going to take the matte medium. And I'm just going to put a layer of matte medium on there. And you see I'm using a palette knife. Typically I would use a brush. Well, what if you didn't have a brush or you only had one good brush? You can use a palette knife. So I am going to go back to my brush because it's easier. And, oh, and if you can, you don't have to use this. Before you create art, this type of thing, put some type of lotion on your hands. I use the Bob Ross Painter's Glove. This stuff is super sticky. I did a take before that said super sucky. It's super sticky, and you literally are peeling off pieces. It is super, super sticky. So, you know, I don't want to wear those darn blue gloves. It's just, So got that down there. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the paper strips, whatever, and I'm just going to put and I'm just going to overlap it slightly and then put more medium on there. These are just random pieces of paper, and every time I apply a piece, I'm going to put more decoupage or more matte medium or decoupage medium, whatever you want to use. Okay, take that, put it there, and then apply another layer. What you're doing is not only covering your card, but you're making it more sturdy. Oh, I like that yellow. I'm going to turn that around. And you don't always have to put the text up. You can put it sideways. But you know what? I'm going to keep that for a sec because I want to use that. I want to use that for something else. Let's put this one here like this. And let's put this one, oops, like this. See, now I've got some nice angles and lines. Oops, I like that yellow. And I don't mean to say, oops, I made a mistake, I like that yellow. I just like the, oh, but it's too close. So what do? I can turn it on its side. I can turn it this way to cover up a bit more. Just make sure to overlap slightly because we're going to be cutting it. And I'm going to cut that there and put that right there just to cover it up. There. Finished. Okay, so then I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it over on a drying rack that I have. I have a piece already made up. Put that over here. And so what I did is when it was dry, I trimmed the edges off. Okay. And let me just, because that's going to be sticky, sticky, sticky. The matte medium part, you can do that on palette paper. It's the painting part that's interesting. Now this is still a little bit soft. I can turn around, I can add more paper. I can layer it even more, layer it on the back. That way there's interesting stuff happening on front and back. What we're going to do now is we have this, and this could be used as it is, but let's take some gesso. And you can use a paintbrush, you can use a kitchen wipe, you can use a paper towel. It doesn't matter. Let's do that. Let's use a baby wipe. Let's pretend this baby wipe is all used up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an old cotton swab here. I'm going to put it on my palette. What you don't want to do is dip a baby wipe that's wet into your jar of gesso because there's stuff in the baby wipe to keep baby's bum soft. So, and as well with this being wet, you know, it's, make sure you squeeze it in a paper towel to absorb as much as possible. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the gesso and I'm just going to go over the card, and what it's doing is setting the text back. And you can make this as opaque or as transparent as you want. I don't want to make it too opaque, but you can see now as I'm doing this, and I can wipe the rest off. And what this is going to do is just prepare this cardboard to be another background. I mean, look how cool that is. You know, even with this, once it's done, dried out, rinse it out to get rid of the whatever's in this. Let it dry, and then, you know, I can collage that onto the cardboard. So that's that. Now you just let that dry and apply paint. I'm going to work it wet. So I've got the primary cyan cobalt teal hue. And these are pretty fluid, but I have a funny feeling I've got pouring medium in here, so we'll have to see. You don't need a lot. Oh, I would be a bad instructor if I didn't tell you. So the little bottles, sorry, I just want to do a public service announcement here. These little bottles have the pigments on here. This is PY3, it's Hansa Yellow Light. And I have a limited palette, and with all the pigments in there and the single pigments. But there are some colors that are just easier to buy pre-made, especially if you're mixing them over and over again. On top of that, for economy, that these are much more economical. But they don't have the pigment numbers on the bottles. So what I'm going to do is DecoArt has a tech spec sheet on their website, and I can take the color and I can go primary cyan, which is where I think I'm missing a page. Oh, idiot, on the back. Jeez. Primary cyan is made with PB15 and PW6, phthalo blue and white. And being that it's PB15 is the first ingredient, it's more on the blue side. Cobalt teal hue. I love that color. Cobalt teal hue is made up of PB28. Uh-oh, that is a single pigment. So I can't make that up, but I could come up with something similar. And I'm looking here. This is when then go to my free color mixing course in the Facebook group and learn how to analyze a color and how to mix something up close like this. Okay. There we go. So my public service announcement is done. So I can take a brush, or I can take the same baby wipe, and I can go into the blue. And wet on wet, if the gesso is still a little bit wet, who cares? But look how far this goes. I just did one little drop in there. This is a background that we want to be able to see. Okay. Then I can take the same baby wipe in the same spot, or flip to a new area. Just make sure you there. And I'm just going to take a speck. Even that's a bit much. I'm going to pat it on a paper towel, and I can go in here and just pity pad. And you can create a vignette. So I can then go to a clean part and just wipe out a little bit of the middle, which I want a little bit lighter. And what happens is, because we use matte medium, it creates this barrier layer. So the paint moves absolutely beautifully. It moves so nice. You can use your fingers as well. I'm just trying to heal up my hands. I did so many videos and ended up using a lot of cleaners on my hands and scrubbing that my skin started coming off. So, and that's only because of the volume of videos I was doing. Okay, and then I can turn around here, go back to a clean part, load up a bit more of the cobalt teal hue, and come back into the middle. And then I can build it up and let it dry, build it up, let it dry, build it up, and I can keep building the depth. I could go with, I'm not supposed to use my fingers. Come back and use my fingers to build up some additional color. One thing you will notice, so if you use a medium, like I've got matte medium, which creates a nice texture. If you use glossy medium, it's going to be even slipperier, more slippy, because there's no texture. There's nothing to grab onto. And then you can leave the inside bright if that's what you want, or come back in again with more blue and just pad and layer and pad and layer. Come back in with a darker blue, and you can pad this wet on wet, or you can let it dry and do wet on dry. Now these backgrounds, because you don't have the end goal in mind, like you don't know what you're creating, that's what gives you a creative jump start, is that you can do a bunch of these and then flip through them. I've got a box. Oh, darn. Okay. Well, I'm going to show you the substrate box, and I've got a box that a whole bunch are already done. That's why I say, when I do one, I say, I have one already made. It's in a box like this. I can come in and, go, oh, I really like this. I'm going to do something on here. You let the piece of art inspire you for what you're going to be creating. So if I had an end goal in mind creating this, and let's say, well, I want to create something with a flower and a person and blah blah blah, I would think, okay, composition, think of rule of thirds, and I'd be thinking before I even got to creating the artwork. Having the backgrounds already done, you can flip through, and when something speaks to you, the creative process is so much faster. It is so much faster. And you don't believe me, just try it. There you go. And all this here, I'm going to save that, because look at that. That would make a nice background as it is. So I'm going to leave that flat. And first, let's do something with this. Let's do the back. I'm just going to use up the back. See, this is unprimed paper, and you can see it's really flat looking, and it's just sucking up all the paint. Look at all the paint that I'm using. That's a pretty blue. Go to a clean area, wipe some off, and it doesn't come off as easy either. So keep that in mind when you're trying to figure out if you want to prime your card. There we go. And I can just take this and just want to use it up, because this, after a while, I can cut it up to have a whole bunch of other instant backgrounds. Backgrounds is not the main feature of the piece, remember. It's just a background. Even cleaning off your stencil can be done on this. There you go. Hippy dippy do. I love that. All right. So let me now I'm going to move this. There you go. Done. 13, 4, I'm trying to think of how many. We're approaching 17 minutes now, but all the talking I was doing. So I guess what I'll do is I'll put a little ticker on the bottom of the video to say, how long it actually took to make this. I'm thinking this, not including drying time, you're talking 5 minutes. Think of how many you can do with that, especially if you do them in a large format and just cut them. But I like these because you can end up making them individually. But if you did them on a big piece and cut them at the end, then there's some consistency and you can make a series. All right. So I'm going to be doing a bunch of these videos just to get you guys primed. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to make a card like this. So you're going to take cardboard packaging, doesn't matter. Get some old book paper, get your gesso, get your glue, and get 2 colors, a light and a dark color in the same family. Not opposites, the same family. A light blue, light red, light purple, light green, dark green. You know what I'm talking about. And your challenge is to make a card like this and post it in the Facebook group just to show what you've done. And what it's going to do is also going to inspire the new ones out there that are just getting into art to see the possibilities. And also, when you post your piece, please add some text to say, this is what I used, and even better, how long it took you to do it. So if it took you like 10 minutes, say that. You just get a little bit of inspiration. And if you say, I don't have 5 minutes to do this, well, you just wasted all the time on social trying to find this post. So you do have 5 minutes. All right. So yeah, that's me being mean. Alrighty. So I'm going to let you go with that. So I look forward to seeing your 5-minute background. And let me know again if you'd like to see a book of background series in a smaller format. Post that in the comments below. Alrighty. So I'm going to clean up, off to make another background. So until I see you then, stay inspired.